AdWords campaigns, also known as pay-per-click campaigns, are not created equally. This week, I'm going to tell you why. Hi, this is Paul Potratz, and welcome to this week's Think Tank Tuesday. Are you doing an AdWords campaign or a pay-per-click campaign? If so, are you doing an advanced strategy campaign, or are you doing the boring one where you just have the text ads across the top and some ads down the bottom? If that's the case, you're missing out on a ton of leads. The reason being, as far as those text campaigns across the top, only 25% of the traffic is willing to click there. Think about your own habits. When you see that ad across the top, you know people are advertising there to attract your attention. So do you click there? Well, only 25% of the population does. So what are you going to do to get traffic from the other 75%? A lot has changed with the Google Panda update. It's not so easy to really do well in SEO. You think about it, why is that? Well, Google made $26 billion last quarter, so it's about search. However, Google has not lost one core principle, and that's to make sure that that individual is getting the best search possible. So let's talk about that individual, the other 75% of the population that decides to actually click below the sponsored links, the pay-per-click, the text ads. What about the ones that go in as far as car and driver, road and track, auto blog, USA ranking reviews, all these different websites? Do you lose them there? Chances are you do if you're not doing an advanced strategy. So what I want you to do, as far as if you're doing your campaign or whoever's doing your campaign, you've got to think graphics. You've got to think video pre-roll. You've got to think outside the box in the sense that you want to create a lot of graphic ads. Because when the individual dives into these other sites like Autoblog and the list goes on, Yahoo Autos, there's advertising space in there that you can actually buy. So the graphic ads where you have as far as the ad across the top, the one down the side that's actually in full color, you can also do video on those ads. You can also do audio on those ads, and you've got to change them up. You've got to constantly be changing. The benefit with Google though is Google will actually automatically, the ads that are performing well, that has a higher click-through rate, in other words the ones doing really well, will show up more often. But the thing is, you've got to keep on updating. You've got to keep on bringing in more ads, because that means it's going to generate more results for you. In other words, more leads. So you think about all the aspects. So that's your display campaign. So let's assume for a moment that Boston Globe, New York Times, whatever, any of the hundreds of newspapers across the country actually writes an article about fuel efficiency. And let's say that they showcase the Honda Fit. What you can do is you can do what's called contextual campaigns. In other words, based on the actual content of the article, you can target your ads to that article. So a contextual campaign is something you definitely want to be doing. And everything I'm talking about right here can be done geographically. So you can decide, let's say for example, that you've got one market where you want to go after secondary finance, special finance. You can create a campaign and go after that secondary finance market. Let's say you have another one as far as Hispanic. You can create a campaign for the Hispanic market, and you can create a campaign for the dealer in some other market that's asleep at the wheel. So you can create 3 different campaigns going on. Could you do that with traditional? You couldn't, because who could afford to do that? So that's what's going on with the campaigns. But again, keep in mind, you want to get past those text ads and start doing the graphics. You want to do the rollover ads, the expanding ads, the audio ads, the video ads. You want to do all of that, because you never know where somebody's going to do it. And the beauty behind it, you only pay when somebody's going to click. So you don't want to shut the campaigns down just because as far as it's winter time or you think people aren't going to be shopping for cars, because it's completely different than newspaper. You're paying for performance. So that's a huge difference. So what about if you're working with a company? Does your company offer 100% transparency? In other words, do they let you see the keywords? Do they let you see the campaigns? Do you know exactly what you're doing online? If not, you need to fire them now. It's just simple. You've got to know exactly what's going on. It's your money, it's your dealership. You should know how the campaign's going. You need to understand the campaign. You want to make sure the wool's not getting pulled over your eyes on this campaign, because you can take these keywords, you can take that information of what's going on as far as in that strategy, and you can move it over to your, as far as traditional marketing. So total transparency, you got to have it. So that's this week's tip. But before you go, I want you to do a favor. If you enjoy the Think Tank Tuesday video series and the podcast, because we're available on iTunes too, I want you to forward this email off to somebody else that could benefit from it, and I'll appreciate it. Thanks, and see you next week.
Thanks for watching Think Tank Tuesday. Tune in next week for more tips in the world of automotive digital marketing from Potrats. To download this podcast or watch previous episodes, search for us on iTunes. To learn more, visit us at ppadv.com.